Hello, welcome to a new edition of the Right Wing Populist podcast. I am the Right Wing Populist. So today I want to talk about what the whole world is talking about. The U.S. struck several Iranian nuclear sites. I want to talk about what that means for the overall conflict and what it means for MAGA. Is MAGA dead? Has Trump betrayed his base? Has he betrayed his promises? A lot to discuss. So just to give a little context for those who don't know all the details, I'm going to read from this article from Al Jazeera, sort of discussing what took place on Saturday. President Donald Trump has announced that the United States forces struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites in a, quote, very successful attack, end quote, adding that the heavily fortified Fordo nuclear facility is gone. Trump's decision on Saturday to join Israel's military campaign against Iran represents a major escalation in the conflict. Quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Nanistan, and Isfahan," Trump posted on Truth Social, adding that the military planes were on their way home. "Now is the time for peace," he added on Truth Social. So I just wanted to give a little context to the bombings. Now, it was sort of obvious this was going to happen. It was certainly obvious we were going to bomb Iran when Israel did a week ago. But it was frankly obvious before then. Trump had there's been a big pressure campaign for months now to get the U.S. involved in this Iranian conflict with Israel. Okay. I don't know if you remember, but there were several Pentagon and I think intelligence personnel that were fired because of accusations that they were leaking. Well, one of those individuals has been going on Tucker Carlson's podcast, and he's made it clear he wasn't leaking at all. It appears why he was let go was because he was against escalating a conflict with Iran. That's what it appears why all these firings took place. It wasn't because they were leaking. It was because they were against bombing Iran. Another red flag was what Trump was saying about Tulsi for the last 2 weeks. He was asked about Tulsi. Tulsi, 2 months ago had said that, U.S. intelligence saw no evidence that Iran was close to a nuclear weapon. And then when Trump was asked about that twice recently, he said, "I don't care what she has to say," or that she's just wrong. It's like, dude, she's who you picked to head intelligence, and you're just gonna dismiss her like that? I mean, frankly, Tulsi should just resign. It's embarrassing. She's been one of, especially now that Trump's suggesting. I mean, Trump yesterday on Truth Social, suggested. I'm going to read it because I'm almost shocked that he would post something so stupid. It's just unbelievable. He said this on Truth Social yesterday. Quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MAGA or MAGA, M-I-G-A, end of quote." So that's what Trump posted yesterday on Truth Social, suggesting that maybe there should be regime change. Even though, earlier that day in the morning, he had his Vice President and Secretary of State, J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, going on all the Sunday shows and making it clear that they're not supporting regime change. They're not looking for regime change. They just want to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. And then Trump posts that on Truth Social hours later. It's like, it's not a great situation. So I think the regime is cooked in Iran, the Ayatollah. They're done. Okay. There will be regime change. I think that's almost a given at this point. Okay. I just, I think Bibi Netanyahu is going to get what he's always wanted, a regime change in Iran. So I guess congratulations to him. And it looks like we're going to help, and that's not good. But what I really want to talk about is what does this mean for MAGA? And what does this mean for Trump's political future? So, MAGA is split. Fox News and people in the Wall Street Journal are trying to underplay it because they support the conflict and they want to make it look like MAGA and the Republican Party is totally aligned with Trump. It's not. It's just not. There are top influencers in MAGA who are very upset right now, including like Mike Cernovich, Robert Barnes, even Scott Adams, who's not been very critical of Trump, is pointing out why are we getting into this? And tons of Trump support. Let's look at the comments of some of these posts, even on Trump's Truth Social account. MAGA is saying, why the hell are we getting involved with Iran now? Iran. Why are we doing it? The whole point of Trump was that we're not supposed to get into Middle Eastern wars. In 2016, one of the top reasons Trump won the primary was he called out George W. Bush to his brother's face, calling out for the stupid Middle Eastern wars George W. Bush got us into. And now look what Trump is doing. Trump's getting us involved. Now, there are people who are supportive of Trump, especially people in the White House, who are saying we should trust Trump. They're saying Trump's not going to get us bogged down into regime change and put boots on the ground and all that. Does Trump deserve some trust and the benefit of the doubt? Maybe. Look, I love Trump. I've literally supported him since day one, back in 2015. I don't like criticizing him. I really don't. And I'm sympathetic to the argument that we should trust Trump in the short term. But long term, I just see this as a negative. I'm upset because I think this is going to hurt Trump's legacy and his coalition for years. It may just completely destroy it. And coalitions do not last forever, and they can break very easily. You saw that with the Obama coalition. Trump broke it. He broke that coalition. The Obama coalition does not exist anymore. Okay. I'm sorry, a smart populist Democrat could very easily break the Trump coalition if this war goes badly. That's the reality. And when you saw, I don't know if you saw it, but, when Bernie Sanders was giving a speech in Oklahoma, I believe, and on Saturday, and when the news broke out that we'd bombed Iran, Bernie read that out to the crowd, and the crowd started chanting, no more wars. I mean, you're going to see a resurgence with anti-war sentiment on the left. The Republican Party under Trump had become the anti-war party, but the Democrats can very easily take that back now if this war with Iran goes really badly, which there's a strong possibility it will. And, electorally, I don't know how, this is anecdotal, obviously, but there's polling that backs this up as well. I don't know how many comments I would see from people, particularly young men, but just anyone, who would say one of the reasons they were supporting Trump in this past election was he wasn't going to get us into any new wars. Well, it looks like he broke that promise. And I love J.D. Vance, but J.D. Vance saying we're not at war with Iran, we're at war with its nuclear facility. It's like, come on, man. Let's not. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Okay, we're at war with Iran. Bombing those nuclear facilities is an act of war. Okay, effectively. Maybe not technically. Maybe we don't need Congress to approve an action like that. That's debatable. And I don't have a strong opinion either way. But it's an act of war. More so than like assassinating a military general like Soleimani, which Trump did during his first term. I was a little worried about that, but that's different than just directly attacking its nuclear facilities. So I think MAGA's in trouble in the sense that the independents who at least supported Trump, they're certainly the libertarians, but even the independents, they're going to leave MAGA. They're not going to vote in the 26 midterms. Democrats are almost certainly now taking back the House, and the Senate is probably a little bit more up in the air now. I mean, I believe Ohio has a Senate seat up in 26, and that's a state that Trump won by double digits. But Ohio is a very populous state, and, if the war is going badly, if we're still in this conflict by the midterms, like, Ohio could be a little trickier. Michigan's gone. We're not winning the Michigan Senate race in 26. It's not happening. Okay, the Muslim voters who supported Trump, I mean, the reason why Trump was able to win Michigan by 80,000 votes, a state that's very difficult for a Republican to win, a state that in 2016 Trump did win, but only by 10,000 votes. The reason why Trump's margin was 8 times better in 24 than 2016 was because of the Arab vote, effectively. He made massive gains with Arab votes, and that was because they believed he was the peace candidate. Well, that vote is gone now. So the Michigan Senate race is done. The Democrats going to win it. Democrats almost always win the Senate races in Michigan anyway. Now it's just a guarantee. It's just, and look, and if Democrats take back the Congress, Trump will be impeached again. He'll be impeached for this war if it goes poorly. They'll just say it was an illegal war. He never got Congress's approval. That's an impeachable offense. And then he'll be impeached for a third time. And then they'll probably try to indict him after he leave office again for war crimes. I mean, this is for Trump's sake, this war I think is a big mistake. Now look, I'm results oriented. I care about results. So if it ends well in the sense that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, we don't put any troops on the ground, there's almost no casualties on our side, then look, Trump gets the W then. I care more about results than ideology, okay? And if the results are good and it all works out, great. So in that sense, I'm willing to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, even though his actions do go against my anti-war perspective. And I don't think it's going to work out. But I hope I'm wrong. And if it does work out, great. Look, if it works out well, I'm not going to, I love Trump. Again, I do love him. I think overall he's been a very good president. And I think other aspects of his presidency have been very good. The border, he's completely locked down for the first time in decades. I mean, illegal crossings of the border are just down to nothing. It's very impressive. I support the big, beautiful bill. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I want it to pass. Okay. I think, I think many aspects of challenging the courts for presidential power, I think is good. I support a lot of the deportation efforts. I support using the Aliens Enemies Act. I think that stuff is good. So I think overall his presidency so far has been good. And I also support, the efforts to make America healthy again. I support RFK Jr.'s doing. He put a lot of good people in place and they're doing good work. That's why I'm so concerned about this war. I think it could just wipe that all away. It's coming from a place that's I'm trying to help Trump. I want Trump to do the right thing for the country, but also for his legacy. And there's it's a very bumpy road ahead. And the other thing is, a lot of these events are out of Trump's control now. That's the other thing. It's sort of up to, Israel, Iran, other actors. A lot of it's out of his control. So this could go poorly very quickly. And if we end up putting troops on the ground and try to prop up a new regime, like we've done in these other Middle Eastern conflicts, and then we have American soldiers who are killed because of it, I'll just say this. There will be a Democrat in the White House by 2029. That's the reality. So, I hope that doesn't happen, but that's just the political reality. The American people is a very populous country, very populous people, and they do not support these ridiculous wars, okay? And unlike the second Iraq war or the Afghanistan war, we don't have a 9/11, that gave a lot of people sort of like the rally to the flag effect that supported all these wars. This Iranian war is already not very popular. And it's supposed to be at its most popular since we're at the beginning. So, heed my warning, Trump or any Trump official who's probably not listening, but if they are, this is a very dicey situation. I hope it works out. I hope it does. And I hope MAGA doesn't tear apart, but, we'll see. It's a bumpy road ahead, so. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's it for today. Please subscribe. Please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can get your podcasts. I may tomorrow talk about Kyle Kulinski and Cenk. I've been getting a lot of comments on my last 2 podcasts on YouTube. I kind of want to address more of them. I appreciate the feedback. Some of them are very funny, so I think I may do one more podcast sort of not attacking, but addressing Kalinske and some of the criticism. So anyway, I think that's it for today, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.